Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry Phillips. I go by Perry Flips with a Z on Instagram. Make sure you follow me there. Sorry, I'm using a different channel than normal, so I had to adjust the sound. I should have probably done it prior to the show, but anyway, I feel like I can't hear myself. What's happening right now? Hello? Oh, that's better. That's better. All right. Let me just start this over. Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry Phillips. Follow me on Instagram, Perry Flips with a Z. Make sure you check us out on Whatnot, eBay, Facebook. It's flips and giggles everywhere on there. Make sure you like and share the podcast. So if you really love the show, make sure you tell a friend and then hit notifications so you get notified whenever the new episodes drop. Like last week, we missed the episode, didn't come out, so you get that notification this week that we did drop the episode. So what else? What else off the top of the show? Oh, yes, I just finished my taxes. I had a lot of shit that I still had to go through. But My Reseller Genie, again, I'm an affiliate for My Reseller Genie. So if you want to help me out, you're thinking about using it, checking it out to keep your bookkeeping stuff in order and get ahead of the curve for next year's taxes and just keep your everything in order. It's 15% off the software and or 15% off the courses with my promo code GIGGLES. And that's My Reseller Genie. Make sure you check them out. And or you can use the link in my Instagram bio and make sure I get credit. So appreciate that. All right, I think that's all the nonsense stuff, the stuff we got to get out of the way at the top of the show, and we can kind of free ball it. So obviously no episode of the show last week. I apologize. I'm in a different situation here, like setting. I was kind of trying this out, but right now my couch where I filmed the first episode, not the first episode, but episode 100, first episode with video. Well, not technically, but, and so that whole area is filled with vintage toys right now. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, but, yeah, no episode last week. It got halfway through the week and I realized I was kind of overwhelmed with the amount of stuff we had for our yard sale. So normally when we do the yard sale, we do the entire driveway and then we put stuff kind of at the end of the driveway, like in the dead end, put out blankets or whatever, just to make sure, things don't get dirty. And so we did that. We didn't put too much in the actual driveway itself, but we ended up going. So we did the whole driveway was filled with stuff. And then as you walked, so in front of our house is like a strip of yard. Like our house is weird. We have a big backyard and like space on the sides, but the front is just like a small little strip. And so we had that was filled with bins. The first half of that was filled with bins. And then when you got to the other side of the walkway, so we had a big dresser on the walkway that we were trying to sell, which didn't sell. Somebody said they wanted it, and then she never came to pick it up. And then on the other side so then on the steps, on like the front steps to our house, we had a bunch of books set up. Like my wife set it up to look almost like a little library. And then past that, we had the clothing and shoe, like it was just a massive pile of like clothing, shoes, fabric, not like fabric, but like bedding and linens and stuff like that. I had a bin of my mom's old crafting stuff and like sewing stuff. So we had a lot of stuff. Like it was a massive amount of stuff and it kicked my ass. It wasn't like normally when I have a yard sale, I'm like, I do one day, I shut it down. But this time, we had so much stuff that we had to do. Oh, this table's like coming apart as I'm sitting at it. What the heck? All right, I'm just going to leave it. Hopefully it doesn't collapse on me. And so Yeah, we were gonna do 3 days initially. We were gonna do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. God damn, what is happening? There we go. Sorry. We are gonna do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so we set up. So Wednesday, which is the day I usually do the podcast, it was like 3:00, and I realized I hadn't done the podcast yet, and that the yard sale was the next day. So I'm like, all right, maybe I can get some stuff done after the yard sale. So I got up at 4:35 in the morning before the yard sale to set everything up, and it was like there was a lot of shit. My wife actually got up, and shout out to her because she normally does not get up for the yard sale to help. She does not want anything really to do with it. She'll come hang out and sell some shit for me when I need her, but like she just, it's kind of my thing. And so she was like, "Oh, do you need some help?" I'm like, "Yeah, if you want to get up and help, you can get up and help." So she actually like set an alarm, got up. She sets an alarm for work, but when her day's off, she's like does not set an alarm. So she came out and helped me, and we got everything pretty much set up before the first people showed up. I just had a couple things left, but I was pretty much ready to go. My neighbor, the older guy, my older neighbor guy, my older guy neighbor friend. I don't know why. Never mind. My neighbor, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Jesus Christ. So he had said he wanted to get in on it, but he ended up canceling last minute. My other neighbors that we hang out with, they put some stuff out and they actually did okay. They sold some stuff, got rid of some stuff. And so Thursday, we were set up. I was probably set up like by 7:15. And that's right around when the first people came. So they, I didn't have a lot of my regulars that I usually have for my yard sale. And I typically do Friday, Saturday. But, I had to do the Thursday sale. And it was actually really busy. I think we did like between $700 and $800. I think it was like in the $740 range. Between the 2 days. The first day obviously was the bigger day. We did like 500 there. And then the next day we did like, I think it was like 200. So it's probably closer to 700. But we got rid of a ton of stuff. And so then the first day we basically brought everything that was left. We brought it, we have a carport. So we put it under the carport. The table's under the carport. Everything that was in bins, I closed all the bins, and then we put a big ass tarp over the clothes and everything. And then not the clothes, the shoes and stuff. And then the clothes were on a big ass tarp. So I just basically like burrito wrapped them and tied it up and then left it overnight because it rained overnight. Because Thursday was nice, not like nice, but New England nice. And then Friday was really shitty. In the morning it was, and then it kind of cleared up. And so Friday wasn't as busy earlier on. We didn't get people coming like really Friday until around 9. And I was out there from like, I went out there a little bit early to set up, but I didn't really have to do a ton. It only took me about 40 minutes to get set up. So yeah, Friday we went to about 2 and I was like, I don't feel like bringing this shit in and then bringing it back out again. Like that sounds like a massive amount of work again. And like we only made however much, 200 today. So I was like, I was not feeling setting up for a third day. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do my usual tactic. I took everything, put it at the end of the driveway. The clothes was a pain in the ass because there was like at least 1,000 pounds of clothes. Like I shit you not. Like we tried to pull it on the tarp, just pull it over there, me and my wife, and we couldn't do it. I had to take big handfuls and just transfer. I threw another big tarp, the tarp that was over the shoes, I threw that out, and then I threw all the clothes on that until it was light enough to drag. So I set up like the biggest fucking free pile you've ever seen in your life. It was huge. Oh, this is my roughly related to reselling t-shirt, by the way. I have one of them. It was like $40 to make. I got to find a cheaper way to make them. Anyway, so I put it out for free around like 2:30. And we had a bunch of people come Friday. So then I just basically I looked at the weather and it wasn't supposed to rain at all. So I just left everything out and posted it for free on Saturday, the whole day, because people were that way too. If people were still expecting a yard sale, they would come down and there would at least be shit for free. So they feel like they wasted their time. And so, yeah, I ended it early. I was I took all the posts down. But it ended up, I had to make 2 trips. There's a little dump, not a dump thing, a little donation bin. They take, textiles and shit like that, clothes. So I'll take clothes there when I have them, and it's just a lot easier. So I'll just take it over to there and they take it. And then, so I did 2 carfuls of that, and it's, maybe 15 minutes of driving there and back both ways. And then I had 1 trailer full of stuff to take back. I took it to Savers because it was all mostly junk. So I always bring my junk to Savers. Anybody who sees me post about donating to Savers, I'm always waiting for somebody to be like, why would you donate to Savers? They're so greedy. And it's because I give them my junk. There's this one that takes almost everything. I finally got something that they wouldn't take. So I had this big ass mirror, and mirrors are pretty easy. You can just put them. This one's pretty big, so it's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. I'm going to have to put plastic down and then smash it, which, is always a little fun. But I'm going to post it for free. Hopefully somebody will take it. I don't think so. It's pretty shitty. It's got mold on the back, so it's outside right now. So they wouldn't take that, but they took there was this big, I got a storage unit, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I got a storage unit last week. Was it last? It was the week before. So not last week, but the week before. So that was what really was my wife was all right, we need to do a yard sale because you have all this shit from the estates or the storage unit. And where was I going with that? I got a storage unit. I don't know. So yeah, it was a lot of work. So we had to just end it. I had to end it early. But then I talked to my neighbor, on one of my other neighbors, the one that was supposed to do the yard sale. I was walking the dog yesterday or something, and he was like, "Hey, what happened?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "What?" He's like, "You had the yard sale there," and he's like, "I saw the cops came down." I was like, "I never saw the cops." And then I told him I ended the yard sale early. I put a free pile. He's like, "Oh yeah, somebody hit somebody's car and they called the cops and cops came down here and it was a whole big thing." I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't even see it. I didn't see it on my cameras either." I hit up my neighbor because he has cameras that would see the part of the street that my cameras can't reach. Because it was further up the street, and he didn't say anything. So they were all on a trip. So I'll ask him next time I see him if he saw anything on the cameras. So yeah, that was interesting. Where was I going with it when I said that I got the storage unit? Oh yeah. So I got this thing out of that storage unit. I'll just start talking about that storage unit. Might as well, otherwise I'll forget. So it was crackhead art. Sometimes you'll find artwork and stuff, and it's you can tell it's just some manic fucking, either somebody on drugs or somebody having a manic episode made this artwork. And it's basically trash. You know what I mean? It's trash. But it was on a big piece of wood furniture. It was they took a mirror out of something and it was all broken. I don't know if they broke it themselves. It was supposed to look broken. And so they took that, but they didn't take this big ass mirror. So I got them to take crackhead art, but not a fucking mirror. So that was kind of annoying. So yeah, I got a storage unit. There's a lot of stuff to talk about today. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I might not even get to it all. I was going to do an hour and a half, but again, the day just flew by and I got to go pick up my daughter in a little bit. So I bought a storage unit the week before we were going to have our yard sale because we were already planning on doing it. And I paid up a little bit on it. I hate to fucking pay up on units, but it's been so hard to find anything. And so I ended up finding a unit that was 20 minutes away. and it had some stuff in it. It had the crackhead artwork, so I saw that and I was like, this might be like, they had other stuff that kind of indicated they might be like starting a store or something. And so, I go and I ended up getting it for a little over $800 after tax, fees, all that stuff. Again, more than I really want to pay for a unit. But I was like, fuck it, let's get a unit. We got the yard sale, like let's take a chance on it. I saw a couple things that looked okay. So I start going through the unit, and they had like a couple bins of stuff that said done on the top, and that stuff was all like family pictures and junk paperwork. So I'm like, those are the first bins I open. I'm like, oh, you got to be shitting me. So I get everything back. I load up the trailer. I brought the trailer for the first round. I had to go back twice. Loaded up the trailer. And I forgot to bring shit to tie stuff down. I completely forgot. And so I checked everything, but I don't know. I must have missed one of the bins. I thought it was clipped, and it wasn't. So like I was driving down the fucking just pull out of the storage unit, get a mile down the road, and I look out the back and a bunch of shit flies out of the back. So I pull over, grab as much as I can out of the road. It's like Christmas ornaments and shit break in, and I'm like, fuck. So I get it all in, get back to the house, go back, pick it up, clean it out. The guy was super chill. He kept my number. He was like, oh, I'll call you if I ever have a unit that like we don't sell, or like, he called me like last week and was like, I have somebody who won't be able to pay their next month bill. And they said, instead of just like, losing the unit to default, they'd rather just clear it out and have somebody take all the stuff. So I didn't want any of the stuff. It was all like furniture and shit. So, I didn't really want any of it. So I passed, but I was like, yeah, call me if you get anything else. So we'll see how that goes. So I get it cleaned out. I get back to the house, and there's a shoe box. And I did a video for Instagram when I first was walking through the unit. And I'm so glad I didn't open this. It would have been funny if I opened it. I would have had to blur it out. But I opened this shoe box, and there was the fucking biggest dildo you've ever seen in your life. Like, it was like the size of my arm. It was huge. And so, I had gloves on and everything. So I'm like trying to move this shit, and I just grabbed this thing, and it's just like, it was literally, you could use it as a weapon. And it was white too. So that was like really startling. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be like kind of a little bit racist to have a dick that big, a dildo that big, and have it be white. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just me. Because I feel like if it's a dick's that big, you just got to go with a black one at that point. It was shot like this thing was. I already talked about this. Are you fucking kidding me? I already talked about this because this is what I named the last episode about. Showstopper. Fuck. So I did already talk about this unit. Well, goddamn, I just wasted about fucking 10 minutes talking about this unit. I think I talked about like a little bit more in depth than I did the first time. So I apologize. As soon as I started talking about this giant dildo, I remembered that I had already talked about it. But I'll bring it up again because it does come back around. So remember this dildo here, and I also found some like aggressive squirt porn, if you can remember. And there was like some whips, chains, butt beads, anal beads. Sorry, I don't know why I just blanked on the name there. And like other like sex shit, in there. And so I put it all to the side, and I was cleaning out the unit. So I just threw it in like a dirty old, like a Michael Kors pocketbook. But then I just threw the pocketbook in with the other pocketbooks, and then completely forgot about it. So I'm at my yard sale, and a few things happened at this yard sale that were pretty funny. So this was the first one. So this lady was there pretty long, and she was digging through the clothes. She was like one of the first people at the yard sale, and she's digging through all the clothes and shit. And her daughter's there, and her daughter was like this, like a month either younger or older than my daughter that was there. And so they were playing. And then my wife was like, it was nice out. So my wife had my daughter in the backyard, and the little girl was like, can I go play back there? So the mom was fine with it. We were like, yeah, that's fine. Like, she's cool. And so this lady basically had a like little daycare service while she shopped. which was awesome. Like, I would love to have that show up somewhere and somebody's wife and kid is like hanging out and they just play with them. So she was like taking her time, making huge piles. I gave her a good deal. She paid more than I asked for, so she was cool. But during the time that she was looking through the purses, I'm talking to another customer or whatever, and she comes over and she's like, hey, this bag has porn in it. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I was just talking to my wife before that, like 10 minutes before, and telling her, this fucking table, man, I'm not going to do this podcast at this table. We've tried it. It's not working out. And she, so she was cool about it. But I was just talking to my wife like 10 minutes before that. I'm like, I haven't been able to find that stuff. I'm like, I think I'd put it in like, the bin that's in the house. I think it's already like away. I didn't want the girls to find it and just like, but yeah, I had thrown it into a purse. So she was cool about it. There was another lady there shopping and she was they were both laughing. They were like, oh, I was like, honestly, I just bought a storage unit. I was like, and I just finished going through it and I haven't like, I put that to the side because I didn't want my kids to find it. And then, so they were cool. They understood. And so I made a little joke afterwards. I was like, I came back with the bag. I was like, hey, here's the bag. It's porn free. Sorry. So they were cool. I was like, obviously, clearly, I wasn't embarrassed, but it's just kind of like, it was aggressive squirt porn. But then luckily I was like, she didn't see anything else that was in the bottom of the bag. In the bottom of the bag had a bunch of other weird sex shit. So she probably would have been like, what the fuck? So yeah, shout out to that lady for not being a fucking dick about it. So that happened at the yard sale. I'll jump back to the yard sale since I already talked about that storage unit. I completely fucking forgot that I talked about it. I named the episode after that dildo. Jesus Christ, I'm a fucking idiot. So then later on the first day at the yard sale, I get people that come. So I always try to ask people if they have stuff that they're selling, if they're not other like resellers, or if they don't resell the same stuff as me. Because sometimes you get old ladies who are like, oh, I just got into it, blah, 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 blah. And so this guy came in with his wife, and his wife was like looking at shit, and like, he had on a not like too old, but like 2010 Harley Davidson t-shirt, and he had a neon undershirt under it. So they were coming to pay out, and they were doing something, shopping around. I just said, hey, I like your shirt. And he's like, oh, I didn't realize what I had on. And so they were going to pay after that. And I go, so, hey, I was like, you got any more of those shirts? Because you can kind of tell if somebody's going to have a lot of those shirts and they're just like, they don't really care about it. So I was like, hey, do you have any more of those shirts? Like if you got a bunch like lying around that you are old and you just kind of, are kicking around. I was like, I don't care. I'll take them any condition. Like, just let me know if you have any old Harley t-shirts. He's like, I have a ton of t-shirts. He's like, I got a bunch of them. And his wife is like, she's like, yeah. She's like, how much would you give him for this shirt? I was like, honestly, like, between 5 and 10, depending on, I'd have to look it up, but really depending, it was probably like a $20 to $25 t-shirt. I said 10 because you want to, you want them to want to sell you their shit. So, then you get there and you make a big bundle deal and, and so she goes, you would give him $5 for this shirt? She doesn't even say the 10. So I go, yeah, I'd give him $5 for it right now. It's like, I got 5 right here. I pulled out my little yard sale money. And so he's like, I'll think about it. And he was asking about this mirror like a few minutes before that his wife wanted. So, I'm helping somebody out and I look over and he's got his Harley shirt off and he's looking at it and he like yells across the yard sale. He's like, hey, would you trade this shirt for this mirror? I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I would trade that shirt for that mirror. Yeah, of course. I wish I had recorded it, but I didn't even, my brain doesn't work that way. And so he came over and we traded, t-shirt for the fucking mirror straight up. And then I gave him my card and he was looking at all the stuff that I sell. He's like, video games? You buy video games? Like, I got a ton of video games. I was like, well, give me a call. And so he like made sure that he had my card before he left. So who knows? You never know with people like that. Like, I should have called him, but I need to get in the habit of being like, here, what's your number? I'll call you. And then that way I can reach out to them. Because I'm never going to find that guy and he'll probably lose that card and I probably fucked it up. But anyway, we'll see. You got to have faith. I still have that other guy who's told me I reached out to him a couple times. The fucking biker Santa Claus guy. I reached out like recently at the beginning of spring, like, hey, just checking in with people who might be spring cleaning, and I'm still interested in those t-shirts if you got them. And he was like, yeah, I still got them. I just haven't gone through them. You're the first person I'm gonna reach out to, so we'll see. I'm trying to get them before this guy fucking dies and his wife gives them all away. I don't think he's even close to dying, but he's an old guy. You never know with shit like that, So anyway, yeah, and then the other thing is, so with that storage unit, I don't know if I talked about this or not, but I found a big bin. It was filled with like glass pipes, bongs. What else was in there? Glass pipes, bongs. There was, I don't think I did, because I think I did the podcast on like Wednesday, and I would have been like crazy busy then. I don't know. I'll talk about it briefly, and then I'll tell you why I'm talking about it again if I'm not. So there was a big bin. It was filled with like brand new pipes, glass pipes for like tobacco. But some people use them for smoking weed, and so there was like a whole bin of them, like they were starting a business, and so I posted the picture of some of the ones I found, and was like asking in one of the reseller groups, because also that's a great way to like network and get people interested in your business, maybe get a follower or two. So I've been trying to be more active, like responding to people with the business Facebook, and so I posted this thing basically being like, hey, I found this whole bin full of glass pipes, bongs, yada yada yada. Can we sell this on Whatnot? And of course, one person was like, Google is a wonderful thing, and I did Google it, but unfortunately, I wanted to follow up with other people to see what their experience was. So one person said no, and every other person said yes. And so then this one person who like commented, tagged, or posted a show that they were having. It was like a 420 show, but they do it like on the 20th. I don't know. Or I forget what it is. They do it every one Friday every at 420 something. I forget, some stoner shit. And so I checked out that little raid train, and they were like, yeah, we're going to be doing a 420 raid train this year. So I messaged them trying to get on it, because I've got all these pipes, hoping that they're have space on this raid train. But every time people tell you to they're like, yeah, we're looking for people for our raid train, they say reach out, you reach out, and then they're like, it's all the same people. You know what I mean? There's this one person on fucking Whatnot that they'll say at every show, they're like, yeah, reach out if you're looking for space on the raid train. And then you reach out, and they're like, hey, the list is pretty long for the raid train, so we'll keep you posted. And then you watch the raid trains, and it's the same fucking people it's like, okay, so you guys, it's just a circle jerk. So I don't know, I might do my own raid train where you can actually have people who aren't the same every fucking week. But yeah, it's just another one of those things. It's like more time. I finally finished my taxes, so I don't have to worry about that. I am back in school though, and now I'm taking 2 classes. They're both a little bit more involved than the last class, but I should be able to handle it. And then I've got to take a class in the summer, which fucking sucks dick. And then I've got to take 2 classes. I was supposed to only take 2 more classes, but I might have to take 3, which will suck if I have to take a 3rd class. But then I'm done in the fall, and they keep trying to get me. They're like, are you sure you don't want to continue this? I'm like, no. I don't even want to finish. So yeah, long story short, that was just a long way to say that I'm thinking about doing. I'm not thinking about doing it. I already posted it. I'm doing a 420. 420 pop-up show. So just I consider pop-up shows anything other than our regularly scheduled show. So we're gonna do a 420 show, and we are going to. I'm gonna get Taco Bell gift cards. I'm gonna be giving away Taco Bell gift cards. I've got a bunch of those pipes. There's other bags and new old stock accessories. I've got little ashtrays. I've got a couple little stonery type items that we're gonna sell. So it'll be fun. Yeah, I'm excited for that. So 420, mark your calendars. It's right up my alley, and hopefully we sell all of these pipes because there's a lot of them. So I haven't even gone through those yet. I'm excited to kind of go through and look at them. I've just kind of looked at a few of them, but there's a ton of them buried. Like each bag was filled with them, and we just took out like one or two from the top to check them out. So I'm excited to see what's in there. There was like a unicorn, and I'm hoping there's some more other cool ones. And people were like trying to buy them, but it's like I want to sell them, obviously, but I also want to have I don't want you to be buying the coolest one, and then I don't have like a cool one to show off for the show, because we're trying to make Whatnot work at this point. I did just take a bunch of pictures for eBay, so I'm starting to list more on eBay. I'm kind of getting back into the swing of that habit. And so, yeah, that'll be fun. So then I found those, but the yard sale, there was like a ton of brand new, like Torrid, like nice old, like a bunch of purses, like shitty condition. There's a couple like newer purses that were like, there was one that was like brand new, but it was like fake leather, had like skulls on it. It looked cool as shit, but it wasn't worth, more than $10-15. Maybe to the right person. So I sold a shitload of purses. I sold a ton of stuff from that unit. So if I had to I was trying to keep track of it. I was at like 200 when I stopped keeping track of like what was actually from that storage unit, because then it just got kind of overwhelming. So I made back a bit, like a nice chunk from that storage unit. And then I also have other individual things that I can sell. And then I think with that pipe thing, the pipe show, we should be more than okay with all the stuff we found in that unit. There was like some silver, some gold, just a small amount of gold. But yeah, there was like, enough stuff in there to make it worth it. I can probably sell those sex things. I'm going to try to sell the porn DVDs on eBay. It looks like people sell them in lots of 4 for $25 all day. They just put a picture of like the sides. You can't really see any nudity. And then, yeah, so I will keep you posted and see how that goes. And so, yeah, I was crazy busy with the storage unit, and a lot of it, it was a lot of trash. And when I say trash, like I've gone to storage units that was gross trash. This was like, there's obviously a couple rat droppings and shit mixed in. You're always going to get that shit in storage units. But this, when I say trash, it was like, old pictures, like I would find a bin, and what I think happened was somebody must have passed away and they were cleaning out a house, and all this stuff must have been in that house. 'Cause it was like, stuff when whoever had the unit was from when like they were a kid, and like they had all these pictures. And so each bin that said done was pretty much good to go. It was just all trash. I was able to trash all that. But then all the bins that hadn't been gone through yet, it was like mixed with pictures and paperwork. So I kept finding like treasures as I was taking the trash out. And, the trash, I think I did 2 runs to the dump or 3. I did 3 runs to the dump for that unit. Again, which, it just cost me I pay for the dump anyway. So it just cost the price of the bags. So I think I maybe used $20 in trash bags. But I was able to clear all that stuff out. And then, of course, right before the yard sale, like Monday, I think it was, there was an ad posted on Facebook, and somebody had, it was Sunday. Somebody had like a picture of all these vintage toys and stuff for like $50. He said make an offer. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, what are you asking for everything? And he's like, honestly, I just want it gone, so I would do $50 for everything. And, $50 for all that stuff is easily a no-brainer. You know what I mean? It was like Fisher Price, Play School. It wasn't necessarily like the cool shit. But there was some G.I. Joes mixed in, like a complete G.I. Joe vehicle in the box. There was a couple of like random smaller stuff. And then there was a bunch of like cool board games, like stuff you don't see all the time. Not like, there was one Candyland and, Monopoly, but then there was, the Wizard of Oz, the Arthur, Arthur the Aardvark, that board game. There was a bunch of like cool games from like the 80s and 90s, like Melvin, I don't know if you remember. A lot of these games I played when I was younger. Melvin was like this big bird and had this long neck, and there was a battery in the base, and it would shake. The bird would shake, and you'd put little worms in its mouth. You'd have to feed it worms. I forget how you won, but that was in there. There was like a bunch of cool shit like that, like board games you don't see every day. So I was like, we'll do a whatnot with it. But then I get everything there, and I'm worried about shipping. I am measuring and weighing everything, but I'm worried because the shipping is, I'm just hoping the shipping price doesn't scare people off. But I'm thinking it should be okay because like the shipping bundles and then it resets at £5. And so a lot of these games are like, a pound or two each. So I'm hoping that like, people will be able to bundle them into boxes and it won't be too bad. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure it's going to be a nightmare, but I can't wait to clear that stuff out because like we just cleaned out the basement. We just cleaned out the attic. We cleaned all my mom's stuff out. When we did that yard sale, we did an estate sale for all my mom's stuff. So we cleaned a ton of shit out, like all the shit from the attic. Cleaned out some of like her furniture that we just weren't going to be keeping. So we still have a few things to clear out. And then we're getting ready to get rid of her car and then one of our older cars. So all our cars are paid off right now. So we want to sell 2 of them, buy one more, just so we have 2 vehicles. And we're not going to buy something. We're going to buy something. The way we're trying to do it is we want to use our trade-ins and either get money back on the vehicle or not have to pay anything out of pocket. So that's where the plan is. I think I convinced my wife to let me get a truck, and we found a truck that's in that kind of price range that we might be able to pull that off. But we just have to go look at it. So I'm hoping that it'll still be there, but I'm not in like a crazy rush. We are paying insurance on this fucking car, and it's just sitting there. So we do need to get it out of there. But it's dead right now, and I went to go push it into neutral and push it out because it's got to get hooked up to the other car because I don't have a little portable jumper thing. And I went to go push the car, and this thing is it's got like the roll cage. It's a Subaru, so that thing was not moving anywhere. And like for context, I just pushed my neighbor out the other day. She has like a little BMW, and like hers was like in the mud, and I was able to easily push that shit like out of the driveway. And that was when everything was icy and snowy. And this thing, I went to push it, I didn't even fucking budge. And then I went to the front and tried to push it, did not even budge. Like this thing is a fucking tank. So I was gonna order like the jump start thing, but my father-in-law is coming this weekend, so I just we asked him if he had one. Of course he did. So he's gonna come and he think I'm a fucking I feel like because he knows me enough to know that like I'm not, like he knows that I am a complete fucking idiot, and also like I'm not. Like he knows there's certain things I can handle and certain things I can't. So he's kind of used to it by now. But like yeah, he's like the type of guy that has a knife on him at all times, or like he has a box cutter and a knife at all times. So he's just like prepared for shit. And I'm over here just like, hey, you got this, you got this, you got this. Like I can order one on Amazon, but if you're coming. So yeah, so we got to get those flipped, sell those, flip those. Yeah, I'm just thinking about shit. I got to check with my tax guy because I think I paid off the car last year. And we're going to try to write that off. And that's like a big chunk of change that I have to write off. Okay. Give me 1 second. I need to do this because I remembered just as I was. So that means I got to call my tax guy. Hold on. Let me just put it in here. Text. Sorry. If I don't do this now, I will fucking forget. So I'm going to do this. And then hopefully I'm done with the podcast at that time. I think I should be 20 more minutes. Yeah, I should be done by then. So yeah, we've got a lot of space. So I can't wait I got to organize the basement. That's like the next step. I have so much space on my shelves and everything's just on the floor right now. But I pulled out like a bin. So I have like 3 bins of jewelry making stuff. So we're going to be doing a whatnot for that stuff. I'm not crazy excited about that, but there's a lot of it, so I think it'll sell. That'll be a daytime show. We'll do that during the day and try to bang that out. Yeah, we have a show this Thursday night. What's today? Wednesday? Today's Wednesday, so tomorrow night, if you're listening to this on Wednesday. Tomorrow night, we've got a video games show, and it's just, it's video games I don't collect, but it's all like just video games I bought and then put it aside. So it's not like the last one was just all shit we had like left over. This is all new shit that's just, so it's good shit. It's not like anything crazy retro. I do have a TurboGrafx console, untested. I have a Wii U console that's for parts. It works, but it's kind of janky. And actually just because I just got a Wii U at I think I told you guys I went to a sale. Yeah, it was $20 and there was like a Wii U, a bunch of Xbox games. So I kept that Wii U because that one actually was working perfect. So I kept that Wii U and switched it out for the one I had. That was just, it worked, but it was like, you kind of had to fuck with it to get it to actually work. So, yeah, check that out. And then Friday night, we're going to do that vintage toy show at 5:00, I think. So we got 2 shows this week. It's Easter this Sunday. So, and then I'm hoping to be, I should be able to do another podcast next week and be back on track. Yeah, last week, man, I was so like my body hurt. I've done yard sales before and it was fine, but my body was just like hurting. And then we had a birthday party. Our neighbor's kid had a birthday party Saturday. So we went to that Saturday. And then after we got out of there, I went back and I had to, pack up that whole free pile. Like I waited till later in the day. But we still had people coming until like 5 or 6. I was trying to get it pulled. Like, I was hanging out at the neighbors next door and I was just like, I was tired. I got up at 5 to go to a estate sale. I had to drive 45 minutes to the estate sale. I thought I was going to be number 1 because there was video games, and I was number 2. Of course, he was there for video games. I was there probably 15 minutes after him, and then the next person showed up like 30 minutes later. So, that person was pretty early. But there was other stuff that I wanted there. There was a ton of shit. It was worth the drive. So I got a bunch of stuff to sell for eBay. I did get a copy of Wii Sports Resort that I sold already, so I did not save that for the whatnot, just because I needed those things are like little Kickstarters for your eBay. If you're having a little slump, you just sell one of those, and it usually gets things moving again. I don't know if it's just me or what, or if it's just an easy thing that I can list and get myself back into the groove. So yeah, let me. I know I had a couple things I wanted to talk about, but the estate sale I went to was pretty good. So I got there early. We were there. And then I had to wait around for a few hours till they opened. And so, that's what I wanted to talk about. So I go into this estate. So I was number 2, go into where the video games are at. This dude goes right for the video games. And he had a guy with him who was like blocking me. It was really fucking annoying. I wanted to push him out of the way. But he was like straight up in a doorway, just like walking crazy slow while his friend ran ahead. So then he did that to me like twice, and I kind of shoved past him the second time because I'm like, brother, this isn't like, either you're shopping or you're not. You're not fucking playing, setting picks for your boy. So that fucking kind of already put me in an annoyed mood. Got some of the stuff I wanted. A lot of the stuff was way overpriced. They had some old Mac computers that I was thinking about grabbing, but I'm like, the prices they were asking were crazy high. So I was like, all right, I'm going to skip those things. So I got a Rushton Santa doll. I got my kid is singing at the door right now. I didn't close the door over here because she wasn't making too much noise before, and now she's like singing at the top of her lungs right next to the door. You can probably hear her. I apologize. Hold on a second. Let me just... Hold on. Oh, man. This kid wants me to wrap it up now. I just let that playing. That was scary because I wasn't sure what was going to happen if I stopped everything. So I just left it recording, and looks like it's all right. Looks like it's all right. So let me see here. Sorry. I know I just like made you guys wait a bunch of time and then I just came back. So, oh yeah. So then let me finish talking about this estate sale. So, get the stuff that I wanted. Some of the stuff was overpriced. Made a nice little pile. There was like an Anastasia doll or music box thing that I always thought it was Disney, but I didn't realize it's not Disney. They wanted $75 for it, so I paid up on that because I could only find them listed for $300 without the box. So I was like, I figure with the box it'll sell quicker, So I don't know how I feel about that one, but I should at least double my money on it, hopefully. But then, so I'm down. I did my first loop, and I'm going back to go for the second round of stuff that got the stuff I was really going for. And there was this ceramic Christmas tree, and I'll pick them up if they're priced right, So like there was no price tag on it, so I picked it up, and I was just gonna bring it up to the top and be like, "Hey, I want to buy this." But I couldn't find the price tag. So as I was walking to bring it up, one of the workers came around the corner. I was like, "Hey, I want to grab this, but I didn't see a price on it." He's like, "Oh, somebody's grabbing that," and he had the tag in his hand. So I was like, "Oh, all right, like I'll put it back." So I go and I start putting it back, and the guy who's buying it goes, "Oh, please be careful." And that shit, like. First of all, I'm not a fucking child. You know what I mean? This is what I do for a living. So I'm always careful with other people's shit. So for you to imply that I'm not fucking being careful really pisses me off. So I didn't say that, but I said, so I went to go put it back, and the guy's like, "Please be careful." He says it like a little bitch. So I go, "Well, if you're that worried about it, you should have just picked it up and brought it up to the front. It had a price tag on. You knew the price. You knew you were going to buy it. Why didn't you just grab it?" And I just walked away. And I heard him like talking to somebody afterwards. Like he thought I was mad that he got it first. It's like, no, dude, I didn't like the fact that you were trying to talk down to me. Like I'm a fucking child. I don't give a fuck. I was going to pay $70 for it anyway. You know what I mean? They wanted $70 for it. I was like, I wasn't going to pay that anyway. But the fact that you're fucking trying to tell me what to do, like I wasn't already putting it down carefully. Like go fuck yourself. God, that guy was a fucking fag, dude. He really was. That was like one dude that you like call that. He's wearing a Red Sox windbreaker, like those type of dudes. Like the windbreakers you have to put over your head. Like the non-zip windbreakers. I fucking hate people who wear non-zip windbreakers. Like you can tell a lot by a person if they're wearing a non-zip windbreaker. Just next time you meet somebody wearing a non-zip windbreaker, just see how they act. See how they move around the world. They're going to be a dick. Just know that. So anyway, yeah, that shit pissed me off. That shit was like, that was like really annoying. So yeah, that was one of them. I went to, there was something I wanted to talk about a couple weeks ago, but I forgot. I had it on the docket, so I'll talk about it now. It's nothing crazy, but my neighbor had left his jacket. It was like a sport coat, and my wife found it, and she's like, "Whose jacket is this?" And like I bought some jackets, and there was one like that with them. So I was like, "Did I accidentally buy that jacket?" Like I was like, "I don't know. Let me check." And then we remembered that the neighbors were hanging out. So I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, did you leave your jacket here?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." He figured out that he left it. But then I started thinking, I'm like, dude, if you were a reseller like that sells clothes, it would be so easy to cheat on your significant other. I would never cheat on my wife. But what I'm saying is like, you find clothes. She found a dude's jacket. If I had found the dude's jacket, I could be like, whose jacket is this? It works both ways. She'd be like, you just bought that to resell. Are you crazy? You know what I mean? Like, it'd be a little bit harder because I don't sell women's underwear. So if she found women's underwear, she would be like, who the fuck's underwear is this? But yeah, that was just a random thought I had, just so there's random thoughts thrown in here. We had a book sale that happened. Book sale's back at it. So that started 2 weeks ago. I went to that and got a couple things, nothing crazy. Sometimes you can find video games there. They had some Wii games. They were asking like $1 a piece. I would have given them $1 for all four. I went back to ask about them and they were gone. So I wasn't really, they had them there since last year. So I don't know. Somebody finally decided it was nothing. Like there were maybe like $1 each for the games. Like that's how much they were worth. I just would have used it, as extra games for my video game sale. But so that started again. I got a few things, nothing crazy. Sometimes you can find like CDs there. I found GameCube games before, but there was nothing like that. I found a couple of anime DVDs, so I'm going to do like a lot of anime DVDs. So there was nothing like too crazy there, but it's nice that they are starting back up. Everything's starting back up. There was a church rummage sale that I went to. Didn't really get anything there. I got a bunch of stuffies. Sold a bunch of those stuffies at our last Whatnot auction. So that was pretty fun. Let me see what else, because I've got a couple more minutes. And I got to wrap it up hard out at an hour because my kid is fucking... Oh, and then somebody reached out. That was the other thing I had. So before the sale, this guy, they had posted on one of the estate sale company's Facebook pages that they had somebody looking to sell a bunch of women's clothes. And so this guy reached out and he had like all his girlfriend's clothes. I don't know if she died or what, or they broke up. I have no idea. But it was all this, it was literally like the same brands as my mom. And so I was just running around and like this guy was like, oh, I still have those clothes if you're interested. So I was like, I would do like $40 on them, hoping he would say no. And he's like, yeah, come get them. So I was like, fuck. So I went and picked up those clothes when I picked up the vintage toys. And so that was where a lot of the clothes came from too. So I had a lot more clothes as well. I forgot about those. So I got those as well to sell. So that was kind of a pain in the ass. And then today, my little honey hole opened back up. Speaking of things opening up, but it's not really. I talked about this before, man. They because they're the ones that I help out. Like I just helped them a few weeks ago with the trailer. I went and they had a bunch of shit that like when they close for the season, they'll close for like a month and then open back up. And when they close, they take all of their donation stuff, to this place. And so I've helped them a couple times do that with the trailer. But then when I was doing that, I was talking to their daughter. I was helping them load the store a couple times ago, and their daughter was there. And she was like, yeah, I started getting more involved in this, and I started realizing, like, they were just basically giving away, like, she started naming, like, designer brands like Chanel and Gucci and blah, 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 blah. She's like, we have to start looking this stuff up. And ever since she said that to me, I've gone in and, like, the day, because usually when they reopen for the season, it's, like, filled. And the last two times it's empty. Like I went in, they had empty shelves everywhere. I'm like, didn't you guys close for like a month and this is all you guys got for donations? Like, so you kind of notice that they, are charging more for shit. They had like 2 comic books in there that I was thinking about getting from some Star Wars books from the 70s. They wanted $10 each. Like, so I got I got a vintage like Y2K Nike shirt that should do well. And then I got my kid something there. And I got like an old sealed pack of like Hanes t-shirts that usually does pretty well. Nothing crazy. But again, stuff's opening back up. But yeah, it sucks that place, like ever since her daughter said that to me, like I've noticed that they have less and less good inventory. The prices are higher on everything. And yeah, it just kind of sucks. And they don't do deal. Like I've asked for deals before, and I go in there all the time. I've been like, "Hey, would you do this on this?" I'm like, "Sorry, we're a non-profit. It's a charity." It's like, "Are you though? Because you're raising like all the prices on shit. So are you really non-profit, or are you profiting? Because you're making a bunch of money here, and most of it is, some of it's consignment, but a lot of it is donation." Did anything else happen at that Saturday sale? There's another estate sale in town that I went to that was like, it was all right. I just got there early. I was first in line for that one. I can't even remember what I got there. There was some cool stuff, but yeah, it wasn't like anything wasn't anything crazy, but it was in town. It was right near here. Yeah, it was like right near here. So that's the only reason I went there early. Yeah, I wanted to talk about because I had a couple people like this my yard sale regulars. I'll talk about this real quick and then I'll finish up. But like a lot of my yard sale regulars didn't show up for the sale. A couple of them showed up Friday. These two guys that usually are the first ones, they came and they were like, "Oh man, we've missed your sale. I don't know how I missed it. I posted it everywhere." So I'm like, "I don't know how you missed it either." He's like, "I didn't miss much, right? Like, what did I miss some good video games?" I was like, "No." I was like, "I don't really think I had any video games, to be honest with you." And like every time they come, the video games are never good. They're never like anything that you're like, gonna make money on. You might make a couple bucks, but I look everything up, so I don't understand why people get so excited about video games like that. But, he's like a video game edgelord. It's like, I just got to get like right to the edge with these video games. Like I just got to get them. But I didn't have any, so there was nothing for him to buy. But yeah, it's just weird. It's like, I understand video games sell for good money and that's why people buy them. But yeah, it's just kind of strange when you're like, I would remember if I got shitty video games from somebody. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, "Oh yeah, I just got like fucking a bunch of sick video games." Like you got like the generic Wii games that nobody wants, but now I sell those on my whatnot. So like I don't even sell those anymore. So it's just kind of weird. I just thought that was funny. And then like there was another guy that showed up, and I remember him. He comes every year, I think. I've seen him at other yard sales, but he's got like that yard sale autism where like they just walk up to you no matter what you're doing. You're like in the middle of a conversation and they just start listing the stuff that they're looking for. Like I saw this guy. I was outside cutting the shrubs because it was like I didn't want people to scratch their cars when they were pulling in, so I was trimming them back. And I said hi to him as he walked in, and he proceeded to ask every single person there, like, "Hey, is this your sale? Is this your sale?" I'm like, "Why don't you ask the guy working on like, I didn't look like a worker. I just was like, trimming shit. I had a fanny pack on." And so then I come around, I hear him asking my wife, like giving the spiel. She's like, "Oh, you got to talk to my husband." And like I walked up and he just walks up. He's like, "Do you have," and I remember his spiel because he comes all the time. So he's like, "Do you have this?" And I start to go, "No." And he goes, "Wait, hold on. Let me finish. Do you have this? I go, "No, I don't have any of that stuff." I knew what you were going to say. And then he starts telling me how he buys all these fucking watches and how he spent all this money on buying watches. I'm like, I didn't ask any of this. I don't have any of these things. I don't know why you're telling me this. Like, and he's just like, "Yeah, I bought," and didn't leave a card, nothing. Just wanted to tell me about all the shit he's bought. The just straight up yard sale autism. And they come in hot too. And he's just like, comes in with this fucking aggressive energy. But yeah, we have people. I had somebody like that a couple years back with video games. That's why I didn't, "Do you have any video games?" And he's just like, "Do you have any in the house?" But I wasn't there at the time. I like ran out to another yard sale. So my wife was dealing. He was like asking to go in the house. My wife's like, "No, get the fuck out of here." Like, so yeah, there is, it's just like, yeah, just this weird tick or not tick, just like, I don't even know what to call it. It's crazy. Some people who just like, they just have to fucking get them. What else? Yeah, my daughter, I'll talk about one more other guy. I had another guy there that was interesting. So he came to the yard sale and he came like later on, and he was like telling me how he resells and shit and how he like is just getting into it, and we're talking this and that. And so he bought some shit, left, came back later, and then bought some more stuff. And then like left again, but then he came back a third time after the second time he came. Obviously, 30 comes after 2. And he's like, "Hey, I just bought this." And it's like, I don't even know what it was. It was something from my mom's house. It was like an old sewing pamphlet or something. He's like, "I just looked it up. It sells for like $15 to $20 online. Did you want to take it? Did you want to buy it back for me for $1 and then sell it yourself?" I'm like, "No, man, this is what the yard sale's here for. You make money. Go make some money, man. I'm happy when people are making money from my shit." Like, no, I don't want this fucking thing. If I would have sold it for 15 to 20 if I wanted it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure all the shit you bought sells for a little bit of something, but That was just crazy to me that he was like trying to return something for the purpose of like being helpful, which was cool. You know, it was a nice thing to do and say, and a nice gesture. But it's just kind of weird. It's like that's what people go to yard sales for. Like, you're a reseller, you're gonna return the shit that makes money for you. Like, that's insane. That's not how it works. You found it, you get to keep it. So yeah, I think that's all I've got. We did pretty well on we did that latest thing, those little figurines. It did all right. We didn't make a ton of money, but we sold a bunch of them, and then I sold the rest at the yard sale. Or did I put those out for free? Oh no, I sold them at the yard sale. Somebody bought the whole bin. I made some lady an offer. She was looking at them, and I was like, listen, if you buy the whole bin, it'll be this much. And so she bought them all. Anyway, that's the podcast. Appreciate it. Was a little disjointed in parts, but getting back into the swing of things. Should have a little bit more time to do stuff. I always say that, and then something comes up. If you like the show, make sure you subscribe. And I don't know if I said this at the top of the show, but leave a review. If you like the show and you listen every week, take 2 seconds, leave a review on Spotify, Apple, wherever. It just helps us out, helps people see us. It gets us a little star rating. Leave a good review, I should say. Don't leave a shitty review. Leave a good review. A glowing review, I should say. Check us out on Whatnot every Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. on Flips and Giggles is the name. We have a show this Thursday, 8:30 p.m. We're doing video games. And then Friday, we've got Vintage Toys pop up, and that's going to start around 5 p.m. So we're going to be going a little early and try to go for a few hours. So hopefully we can bang out all those video game or board games. And then, yeah, back every Thursday, we'll have something new, and especially with yard sale season popping off. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming up on there, and then check it out on eBay. We also have stuff up there new stuff going to be getting added every day, Flips and Giggles. Subscribe to the podcast and hit that notify also while you're leaving your review. And then Flips and Giggles on Facebook, eBay, Whatnot. Perry Flips on Instagram with a Z. Thank you for listening to the Roughly Related Reselling Podcast, episode 101. And we're going to be moving towards 200 at a moderate pace. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you guys next week.